Hello, everyone. Welcome. You're tuned in and watching Voices, which is a program of the Communication Department of the Atlantic Caribbean Union. We're delighted that you've joined us. I'm Eric D. Clark, and this week we take a trip to the North Bahamas Conference. We're delighted to have the Education Director, among other things, of the North Bahamas Conference, and that is Sister Desiree Forbes. Sister Desiree, it's just a joy to have you. We say welcome to Voices.
It's a pleasure to be here, Pastor Clark.
Thank you so much. Voices cover the North Bahamas, it covers the South Bahamas, it covers the Turks and Caicos as well as the Cayman Islands, and you sit in the position of Education Director for that conference. And we are so happy that we can include the North Bahamas Conference in a personal way because the Union covers the 4 territories, and we want to just give emphasis to all. And I just want to ask you at the very onset of the program, can you lay that foundation for us and talk just a little bit about one Desiree Forbes, please?
Well, you've already given my name, but I am an educator by profession. I have been in this profession since 1982. I am married to Elvis Forbes, who's from Eleuthera.
Okay.
And that is where I'm just coming from, spending 3 weeks on the beautiful island of Eleuthera. As it relates to other areas, I'm a passionate Seventh-day Adventist. I love my church. I love Adventist Christian education because of the impact it has had on my life and the impact I've seen it's had on the lives of others. In a nutshell, that's Desiree.
Okay. Desiree, you are who you are and where you are today because you're standing on the shoulders of other individuals. One of those in particular is your mom.
Yes. Yes.
Tell me about Mavis Rolle, Sister Mavis Rolle, Nurse Mavis Rolle.
In my eyes, my mother was a giant of a lady. She was mother, father, everything to us. She was passionate about reading and education, and I think that's where I got my thirst from. She was also very committed to her church and to her God. And she has left a great example and a great legacy for her children to follow. Anything that was Adventist and that was biblical, she supported. And that is how we got on our trek into the Adventist educational system. We were Catholics, and as soon as she became an Adventist, she thought I was enrolled, those who were able to at that time, in the Adventist school system. So my mother has had a great impact on my life. I try daily to live the life that she would want me to live, which is a godly one, which is one that holds to a standard of excellence because that was the type of person she was. So that's what Mavis Seminary Rolle was in my life. I would get a little bit more emotional if I continue.
Not a problem.
Yes.
Understood.
Yes.
I remember her so fondly because when we were young boys in high school, she was one of those mothers in Israel that we could always go to, and every week, every Sunday, we went to her house just so that we can eat for the rest of the week. And she was one of those who always opened her doors, and we just appreciate that.
Yes.
When you look back and the sacrifice that she's made and where you are today, what are some of the professional experiences that have brought you to this moment? You've been a teacher from 1982?
Yes, I completed my studies at what was then West Indies College in 1982 with a bachelor's degree in English language with a minor in religion. After that, I was employed at Grand Bahama Academy, which was a very small room at the back of the Freeport Seventh-day Adventist Church at the time. I think you were there as an intern pastor.
That's right.
And I was telling somebody the other day, I remember when our checks used to come through the mail.
That's right.
And you would be the person to go and check for the checks. But that's where I began. I stayed there for 2 years under the leadership of Mrs. Ruth McKinney. And I left and I went on to pursue a master's degree. And then I returned and I served under the leadership of Mrs. Lynn Smith. Shortly after that, I ventured into government. And as a result, I was sent into the Exumas, where I taught your brothers.
All right.
And from the Exumas, I went into Grand Bahama. And that's where I'm currently today.
Okay. There's a lot of wind that blows. There's a lot of voices that you hear. But in the midst of all of it, you just indicated that you are a passionate Seventh-day Adventist.
Yes.
Why do you say that?
Because I feel if it was not for Adventism, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I could even recall as a young educator, when I transitioned into government, persons would come to me and say, "Where did you get your training?" Because I didn't go to San Salvador Teachers College,
Okay.
and I didn't go to College of the Bahamas. But it was definitely something different in what I was doing that would want them to recognize. And I feel all of that is a result of my church.
Okay.
The fact that it has institutions where we can go to, where we can excel, where we could learn to be the best in whatever role we're found in.
Okay. So tell us a little bit then about the structure of your church, and particularly the North Bahamas Conference and where you fit in that. Talk about that, please.
Well, the North Bahamas Conference is a growing conference, very active, dynamic conference. We now under the leadership of Pastor Henry Munker, who serves as the president, assisted by Pastor Andrew Burrows as executive secretary, and Mrs. Tonya Palmer, the financial officer. I serve as the education director, and I come directly under Dr. Cheryl Rolle, who's the union's education director. As a result of that, my responsibility is to oversee our educational system and to work along with the education secretaries in the church. So I currently oversee the only educational Seventh-day Adventist educational system in Grand Bahama, which is Grand Bahama Academy of Seventh-day Adventists. It is a K through 12 institution. It has a staff when we include the instructional staff, the support staff of about 21 individuals. And this year we see an increase in our enrollment. We are anticipating that we'll have an enrollment of at least 250. Some prayer warriors and I have asked God for 267. I'm still claiming that. Grand Bahama Academy sits on a beautiful campus. It's the buildings are fairly new, and it has a staff that is willing to work. We have some very supportive parents who stick with us regardless to what we may be going through, because you know education around the world is facing challenges.
That's right.
And Grand Bahama Academy is no different. Seventh-day Adventist education is no different. We've seen other parochial schools within the Grand Bahama district have had to close their doors. And we're talking about schools with big names have had to close their doors. But God has been good to Grand Bahama Academy. It has not been easy. But the song that comes to my mind at this present moment is The Anchor Holds.
That's right.
Though the ship's been battered, and I think that God will continue to see Grand Bahama Academy through.
That's so beautiful, and I appreciate that in a nutshell. What I was impressed with, one of the things I was impressed with, is that you've just come off a 100-day challenge. That had implications for Grand Bahama Academy?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. I think it's not fully concluded as yet, but the vision came from the administration of our conference, which I am very, very grateful for, in that they decided that they would launch what we call the 100-day challenge, where we would ask at least 1,000 members to give $1 for 100 days to assist Grand Bahama Academy with its growth and development. Part of the monies would go to operations, curriculum offerings, and of course, capital development. We are grateful for those persons who would have come on board. When we had the launch, the Atlantic Caribbean Union was there, and they made a donation, and we'd like to thank them for it. I was really impressed that the leadership saw the need to come up with such an initiative, because it gives us a feeling now of inclusion. That's right. That we're all together. It's Adventist Christian education, and we're all a part of it. It's just not the Office of Education and the teachers at the school. It is our school. It is the Adventist school on Grand Bahama. So all of us as Adventists need to support the Adventist school. And our dream is that our school will be the best school on Grand Bahama.
Wow, beautiful. Can I ask you, who Who forms the leadership team at your school?
Our school is very small, so we don't have a very large leadership team. But for the past 2 years, I just want to express my thanks to Mrs. Ruth Rolle,
Okay.
who served as the interim principal. We've been able to call on her so many times, and she's never said no. She has been willing. She lets you know right away she's not an administrator, but she'll do what she can.
Okay.
And through her, we've been able to keep the doors of our school open, her along with the staff have continued to work. For the upcoming school year, we've asked a young, dynamic teacher who has been at the school for at least 14 years. She served last year in the capacity as vice principal.
Okay.
We're asking her this year to serve as the acting principal, and her name is Miss Avani Wellington. I think, as well as the board, feels that she has the drive, the vision, and the commitment to be able to guide our school during this year.
Okay. Before we take the break, I just wanted to ask you, how is Grand Bahama Academy doing right now? When you sit Grand Bahama Academy in the midst of all the other institutions of learning, how is the school doing?
I think we're doing extremely well. And I sit from a point, because you know this position is not my full-time job.
Okay.
I sit from a point where I can see and make comparisons. I think we're doing extremely well. Since 2007, we might have missed a year or two. Our students have been able to achieve top student in Grand Bahama for BJC results.
Congratulations.
We've been able over the years to have get top in the nation in certain subjects. Last year we had a student who got top in the nation in health science and general science in the BJCs. We've had before where we've had students in the nation got top in math. So we're doing fairly well now. Do we need to improve? Yes, because we want to be the best. God expects no less. So this year we are hoping to focus more closely to make sure that all of our students can achieve greater levels of success. So we're hoping to use data to help us to make better decisions as we plan and execute. Now, the area of focus we would like to focus on more this year is math. And as the teachers come back to school, they will begin to look a little closer at that as the principal leads in that area, because we know that's a critical area. That's an area we see that we need to improve in, so we want to focus on that. Not that we're not doing well, but we can do better. So when I compare us to others, even when it comes to competitions, our school, we try to participate, and we're generally right there with the others. So I would say that we are sitting in a good position. And last year, our school went through an accreditation visit and an audit by David Daniels that was led out by the union, Department of Education. And it is our goal that we will use the information from both of those, the accreditation and the audit, and we will form the compass for our school as we move forward. As it was said by both of those teams, Grand Bahama is a good school, but our goal is to get it to a great school. And that is what we're pressing towards.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Des. We're going to just take a break. We'll be back in just a moment, and we'll be able to bring more information about Grand Bahama Academy and the education system of the North Bahamas Conference. We'll be right back.
Seventh-day Adventist education is an opportunity for our children. The Lord had in mind a great plan to take our children to heaven. And Christian education is part of that plan. You know, Christian education means salvation, because every Adventist teacher, every Seventh-day Adventist school is involved in saving our kids. Are you an Adventist pastor? It's your responsibility to inspire your children, the children in your church, to go to our schools, to our universities. Are you a church leader? You have the same opportunity. You are called to support them, to help them, to inspire them to study in our institutions. Are you a father or a mother? Well, the Lord has you in order to take your children to heaven. And Christian education is part of that, of those resources left for you. Every one of our children should be in our schools. That should be our motto. That should be our goal, and the Lord will help us to achieve it. May the Lord bless you as pastor, as church member, as parent, and bless through you all the church children.
Welcome back. This is Voices. I'm Eric D. Clark, and it's a joy to have you in studio. With me is Sister Desiree Teresa Rolle Forbes. Did I get all of it right?
You got all of it correct.
I got it?
Yes.
Okay, well.
If it was a test, I would give you an A.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Appreciate that. We're back on Voices, and Voices is a program that covers the Cayman Islands, the Turks and Caicos Islands, and of course North and South Bahamas, and it's a program of the Atlantic Caribbean Union. Before the break, we were talking some things, and I just want to come back now. Let's begin with theme. Do you have a theme for the year or for the period under review at Grand Bahama Academy?
Yes, every school year Grand Bahama Academy focuses on a theme, and it's generally a spiritual theme.
Okay.
This school year, our theme is Following His Greatness, the Leader in Me. Now, that theme was chosen because of a program we're hoping to introduce this school year, particularly in the elementary school. I don't know if you're familiar with Franklin Covey and the 7 Habits of an Effective Individual.
Okay.
His son, Stephen Covey, has gone on to convert those for schools. 7 habits for an effective, to help a child from as low as elementary school to become an effective individual. And that's what we want at Grand Bahama Academy. At the end of the day, when our children leave, they are spiritual, academic, effective individuals who are not only impacting their society through their church, but through community service. We want to have that well-rounded student that graduates from Grand Bahama Academy. So that is the reason for the theme and the book.
Okay, so with this theme then, you guys are really on cutting edge, and I like that. The community it impacts, the church, the individual in the home, etc. Are there any other new initiatives that you're planning and that you have on board?
Well, that program will drive a lot of the programs this year, because, you know, there are 7 steps, and once we get our children on these steps, it will help them to be effective. And one of them, it's 7 of them, I'm not sure if I'll remember all of them, but the teachers got the book for summer reading, and we hope to implement and we've changed it around a little bit because we have to put things within our context. And we're an Adventist school, so for us our priority is spirituality. That's right. So the first one we put is first things first, beginning with God. And then it talks about thinking to be win-win. Seek to be understood as you try to understand others. It speaks about being proactive, thinking of the end in mind, getting children to learn how to establish goals from very young. Another one of the steps talks about synergy, knowing how to get along with others. And then the last one, if I remember, is entitled, the step is called Sharpen the Saw, where the child focuses on their health, going to bed early, looking out for others as they look out for themselves. So we're hoping through these various 7 steps that we will foster the varying programs within our school. The new principal also would like to have the school, have the children more community oriented. We are known, most of our parents, and when you talk to the children, even it came out of the audit, the spiritual level of the school tends to be very high, but it can always go higher. We've had children who would have come in, got baptized. We even had a case where a child got baptized and then led her mother to baptism. So With the spiritual level, that will again be our focus, because that is our real reason for being there. That is our real, to make sure that we lead these children into a loving relationship with Jesus Christ. Because at the end of the day, we may push the academics, and we may push all of these other frills, the swimming pool, the tennis. But if we have not saved our children, if we've not given our children the tools to know how to have a relationship with Jesus, then Adventist education would not have served its purpose.
That's right. Do you remember higher than the highest human thought can reach?
It's God's ideal for his children.
That's right.
God likes
education.
the goal to be reached, yes.
That's right.
And that is what we still want today for our children.
Beautiful.
Yes.
All right. Let me ask you about, I want to come back to the financials. How is the Grand Bahama Academy financed? How do you make it?
Well, we get subsidy from the conference. We have subsidy from government grant, and then through the collection of school fees. And it's not enough, but we thank God for whatever it is. And one way that we can have that change is if we have greater support. That's why I was so happy for the 100-Day Challenge, the initiative. The administration gave our conference members an opportunity to find a way to support Grand Bahama Academy, whether you had a child at the school or not, whether you were a parent or not. That is what the 100-Day Challenge did. But then we needed to go beyond the 100 days, because the bills will still be coming in beyond the 100 days. If we want to be, I don't want to say competitive, because we should not be competitive. If we want to be comparative, then we're going to need certain financial resources in order to do that. And so we need the support of our members, whether there's a 100-day challenge or not. And there are many ways the members can support: through scholarships, through regular donations, once we have that stewardship connection, we see the value of Adventist education, which is a program of our church, then we will support it as we support the other programs of our church. So do we need the financial assistance? Yes, we do, as with just about every educational institution, because you can only do certain things if you have certain finances.
Got you. Can I mention to you and ask you your opinion, your view? Sometimes those of us who are in the system, sometimes those of us who are closest to it, we don't appreciate the value of what we have. Do you find that happening, and is there a need for more of us who are inside to assist Grand Bahama Academy? Yes,
that is the thing. But where is the safety going to be found for our children? Just as how the 8 went into Noah's Ark, the safety for our children is within our institutions. And I don't think that our parents really understand that. And again, I sit from a point of view where I see both. I see the struggles that our children go through when they are placed in other settings. And they, at a tender age, they're placed in settings where they have to make decisions they should not have to make. Whereas within our system, we have one voice, we have one faith, and we have one goal that we're working towards. So yes, we have members who may feel the Adventist school is not the best place for my child. But I would say to them, there's no other place for your child. Because at the end of the day, we want our child trained in our faith so that they can take over the work of the church. They'll be ready to meet Jesus when he comes.
That's right. And what we find happening, and I really appreciate what you've said, what we find happening sometimes is if we were to go into another private institution, we are paying people to teach us certain things that may not be biblical.
That's right. That's right. Wow. And I've had personal experiences with that. I had the opportunity to take care of my niece for a short period who was not attending an Adventist school. And during her last year, we encountered a challenge where she became aware that what they were asking her to do was not what she should have been doing. And that became an issue for her. And that's when my eyes, they were already open, but it dawned upon me, we should not put our children until they are able to make the right decisions into environments where others are making the decisions for them.
It appears as if, though, providing Adventist education is not a cheap venture.
It is not. But what is more expensive? The soul of my child or Adventist education? Adventist education is really a privilege. I felt privileged to know that I had an Adventist education, but it's also our responsibility. A privilege in that it may cost us a little bit more, but it is our responsibility that our children are taught of God. Where will our children be taught of God, Pastor? In our schools.
Amidst all the headache and the hassles, why keep Grand Bahama Academy open? Why not just let the folk, and then you church them?
I think we need to keep Grand Bahama Academy open and just not only church our members, because it's a threefold approach. It's the home, the church, and the school.
Okay.
We cannot separate it. So we cannot have we're teaching something at church, we're teaching something at home, and then they're learning something different at school. In addition to that, as I said earlier, it is our responsibility that our children are taught of the Lord. We have a responsibility to make sure that our children are spiritually fed, spiritually nurtured. It's not only an academic thrust. So yes, we can close the door of Grand Bahama Academy and send our children to any other school. And at the end of the day, what would we have gained? It is our responsibility. Our organization was given the mandate not only to preach, but also to teach, to operate educational institutions, and to operate health institutions. These are all arms of the ministry, and all of them are very important arms as it relates to the nurturing of the child. At the end of the day, Pastor, as I keep saying, our children are to be saved when Jesus comes.
Beautiful.
Now, can we do that simply by churching them? I'm not sure. But I do believe we can have some success by schooling them and keeping the doors of Grand Bahama Academy open.
Beautiful. As you look at this new school year, what are some of the things that we can expect, or that the students or the parents, the school, has on its drawing board, so to speak, for the new school year?
I think our thrust this school year is that we're going to really try to put our students and our parents first. We're going to make sure we give our students opportunities for their voices to be heard. We're going to make sure that we're more accountable to our parents and to our students. Our teachers are going to continue to do their best, but take it even a bit further. We are hoping that this year that they would come back renewed, re-energized. They would have been reading over the summer, and they come back with new ideas, so that when persons come into Grand Bahama Academy, from they step on the campus, they can see there's now a shift in the culture that is making it even better than what it was before.
Beautiful. My final question would have been, and I think you have given some of the answers, for the parent who is searching for a school, why Grand Bahama, as you wrap up your thoughts?
I'm going to use the words of a sixth grader many years ago at the promotion exercise. She was so happy, she said in her speech, that her parents allowed her to attend the best little school in Grand Bahama.
Wow.
Why Grand Bahama Academy? It is the best little school in Grand Bahama for your child. It is a family-oriented school. It's a school where you know your child, the environment is safe. It's a place where you know that your child will be nurtured, taught of the Lord, and a place where academics is also at a level that you will be pleased with. So I think Grand Bahama Academy should be the choice for any parent. We have our success records. The history is there. The legacy is there as to how well we would have done in the past. And I am certain that we will continue to do well under God's guidance in the future.
Beautiful.
I would say to any parent, if you're thinking about a school, Grand Bahama Academy is that school. And if you are a Seventh-day Adventist parent, there should be no other school for your child but Grand Bahama Academy of Seventh-day Adventists. As I said early, it is our privilege that we have that school, but it is also our responsibility to ensure that our children attend our school.
Thank you so much, Sister Desiree. It's just been a real pleasure. You've given us a lot of food for thought. You've done an excellent job. It's been substantive. And I just trust that the folk out there who are viewing our program Voices will appreciate the contributions of Grand Bahama Academy. And please, if you have your children, let's make sure they are placed in Christian educations. Until next time, I'm Eric D. Clark saying so long. Voices will come your way again.